Venus Williams awarded Australian Open wildcard. American legend Venus Williams will compete in the main draw at Australian Open 2026 after receiving the 8th and final women's wildcard. It will be her first appearance at Melbourne Park since 2021 and the first time she will have competed outside the United States since 2023. Williams, who made an impressive comeback to the sport in July 2025, will prepare for AO 2026 at the Hobart International, where she also received a wild card and will join fellow major champions Barbara Krejcikova and Emma Raducanu. Related, AO wild cards awarded to Hijikata, Hahn, Gibson, Preston. I'm excited to be back in Australia and looking forward to competing during the Australian summer, Williams said. I've had so many incredible memories there, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to return to a place that has meant so much to my career. Williams, 45, is set to become the oldest woman to compete in an AO main draw, surpassing the record previously held by Japan's Kimiko Date, who was 44 when she lost in the first round of Australian Open 2015. An AO singles finalist in 2003 and 2017, Williams is a 5-time Wimbledon champion who also won 2 US Opens. After years of health struggles, which she documented on social media and said, affected my tennis and the trajectory of my career, she underwent uterine fibroid surgery in August 2024. With both her health and quality of life improved, she returned to action at the 500-level tournament in Washington, D.C., her first event in almost 18 months. There, she upstaged world number 35 Peyton Stearns, making her the oldest woman to win a tour-level match since the great Martina Navratilova at Wimbledon in 2004. At the US Open, Williams pushed 11th seed Karolina Muchova to 3 sets in singles before advancing to the doubles quarterfinals alongside Leylah Fernandez. Her return to Australia will mark her first singles outing since that primetime showdown at Arthur Ashe Stadium against the talented Czech, a former world number 8 and Roland Garros finalist. I play an exciting brand of tennis. It's a lot of fun to go literally hog wild out there and hit as hard as I can. I'm happiest when I can just hit hard, Williams said. I think I played some matches in Cincinnati and DC where I didn't really understand how to control myself yet. So I think today, against Muchova, was a lot better measure of like, okay, you don't have to hit this one as hard as you can. Play a smart shot, then go for the next one, laughing. You never stop learning. I learned so much. I'm still learning about myself. When I think about the match I played against her in 2020, I was so uncomfortable. I wasn't well. I was in so much pain. Today it's night and day how much better I felt, so I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to play in feeling better, and at that rate have a real chance. In addition to her 2 AO finals, Williams reached the semifinals in 2001 and another 6 quarterfinals, contributing to her tournament win-loss record of 54-21. She is also a 4-time women's doubles champion, winning the 2001, 2003, 2009 and 2010 titles alongside sister Serena, and won the mixed doubles title with Justin Gimelstob in 1998. Venus is a true legend and trailblazer of our sport. She's an inspiration to us all, said Australian Open Tournament Director Craig Tiley. I'm delighted we'll see her on court again at both the Hobart International and Australian Open. The Australian Open 2026 main draw begins Sunday, 18 January. When the Australian Open announced a wild card bearing the name Venus Williams, it was more than a line on a tournament list. It felt like a pause in the rush of modern sport, a moment where history, resilience, and possibility stood together beneath the Melbourne sun. A wild card is usually a technical thing, a small administrative key that opens a draw. But when it is given to Venus Williams, it becomes symbolic, almost poetic, as if tennis itself were saying, there is still a story to be told. Venus Williams has never fit neatly into brackets. From the beginning of her career, she arrived not as a quiet promise but as a declaration. Power, presence, and confidence walked onto the court with her. She did not merely play tennis. She stretched it, reshaped it, and demanded that it expand to include her vision. Years later, as the sport spins faster and younger, the wild card feels less like a favor and more like a recognition of what she has been and of what she still represents. The Australian Open is a tournament of beginnings. Played in January, it opens the tennis year like a deep breath, full of heat, noise, and expectation. It is where new champions announce themselves and old champions test the strength of their echoes. To award Venus Williams a wild card here is to place her at the threshold between eras. She stands not behind the next generation, nor in front of it, but alongside it, an active bridge between what tennis has been and what it is becoming. For Venus, the wild card is not an invitation to nostalgia. She has never been interested in simply being remembered. Her career has been defined by motion, by reaching forward. Even after injuries, illnesses, and long absences, she has returned not as a ceremonial figure but as a competitor. The wild card does not ask her to wave to the crowd and exit politely. It gives her a chance to compete, to disrupt, to test herself against players who grew up watching her matches on screens. There is a quiet courage in accepting such a wild card. It means stepping again into judgment, into scorelines, into the sharp clarity of win or loss. Legends could choose comfort, appearances, and applause. Venus chooses the court. In doing so, she reminds the world that greatness is not preserved in glass cases but forged repeatedly through risk. Creatively, the wild card feels like a metaphor for life beyond sport. How often do people assume that time closes doors permanently? How often does society suggest that chapters must end at a certain age or after a certain achievement? Venus Williams has spent her career disagreeing with such assumptions. Her presence in Melbourne argues that passion does not obey timelines and that relevance is not owned by youth alone. On court, Venus has always been more than her strokes, though those alone changed the game. Her serve cracked open expectations. Her ground strokes rewrote ideas of power in women's tennis. But beyond technique, she carried a posture of belief in herself, in fairness, in equality. She fought for equal prize money not as a side project but as a natural extension of her identity. That fight reshaped the sport as deeply as any Grand Slam title. So when the Australian Open grants her a wild card, it is also honoring that broader legacy. It is acknowledging that tennis is not only about rankings and recent results, but about the voices and forces that built the stage on which today's stars perform. Venus helped build that stage. The wild card is not charity, it is continuity. For younger players in the draw, her presence is a lesson that cannot be learned from coaching manuals. They will see what longevity looks like when it is earned, not clung to. They will feel the weight of history across the net and understand that the sport they play has ancestors who still breathe, still compete, still challenge.